Verse 6, for my heavenly army, though Lu Wang shall be commander for Etashan, and though Bawawoth shall be commander for Damaya, which is North America. Verse 7, and to ye of heaven I assign the care and protection of my kingdoms with your armies, and ye shall wall your places around, and fortify me on every side with angel warriors, yet menace not the angels of Budha, nor of Luamung. Nevertheless, if they offend or are disrespectful of me and my kingdoms, ye shall arrest them and provide places of torment for them and cast them in. And that's equivalent to like jail on earth for us, a place of containment. Verse 8, but as for thee, Yadath, thou and thy host shall return again to the earth, to mortals, and establish me as Brahma, which shall be my name on earth and in heaven from this time forth forever. And thou shalt possess the oracles, and by all possible means establish me among mortals, as well as in India and China. And all who profess Brahma hereafter shall be my subject on their entrance into heaven. So here the false god Brahma begins to establish himself on earth through the temples and oracle houses in India and China. And being that these two false gods, earthly and heavenly kingdoms, are in close proximity, it will ensure a war between the two. Verse 9, and if it come to pass that Buddha's mortal warriors fall upon mortal Brahmins to destroy them, then shalt thou consider that Buddha is my enemy. Verse 10, and thou and thy angel warrior shall obsess every Brahmin to take up arms, and war to the death every aggressing Buddha. For Buddha shall learn that I, Brahma, rule these heavens in my own way. Verse 11, so it came to pass that 4,000 million warriors of Enochissa, now falsely named Brahma, were selected and apportioned and marched off to their several places in great pomp and glory. To describe even one of these armies with their music and their implements of war, their manual and procession, would require a large book, then their vessels of war, their implements of fire and water, their banners and flags, and above all, their enthusiasm. For many of them had been warriors in earth life and knew no other trade, and now exulted in the prospect of mortal blood and death. So here it shows how mortal warriors on earth can become angelic warriors for these false gods in heaven, and come back to the earth to inspire mortals with warfare. And these are the results of low-graded angels fighting for lower heavens in the Hadean regions. Now here how Jehovah shows how man will be clueless on how the Indian and Chinese gods that rebelled from the false Buddha and Brahma's kingdoms became the gods of Argos, Athens, Rome, and Europe. Verse 12. Of the sub-gods of India and China, Jehovah said, for this alone these things are good, for in time to come man of earth will look abroad over the earth and say, how came the Indian gods in Rome? How came the Chinese gods in Athens? Verse 13. For since they will not be able to answer their own questions, they will perceive there must have been a heavenly cause that mortals know not of. Verse 14. For in time of the fulfillment of my revelations, it will not be sufficient unto either heaven or earth to reestablish spiritual communion. And it shall be shown unto them that there are kingdoms and principalities in heaven, and they are ruled over by both good and bad gods. Moreover, they shall understand that of a truth, whosoever worshipeth Buddha shall go to Buddha to be his slave, and whosoever worships Brahma shall go to Brahma and be his slave. Verse 15. And I will make it plain to them that to worship a spirit, though he be a god, is but the giving of their own souls into bondage. For they shall in that day understand that the great spirit, the ever-present, is not an idol in the figure of a man sitting on the throne. Verse 16. Moreover, spirits and mortals shall perceive that to deny my person will sooner or later bring the doer into a trap from which he cannot escape. Give then to Enochissa the name Brahma, for it is his choice, and thou shalt perceive that the time will come when he will seek to throw aside even his name and even his own person in order to escape hell. So here, Jehovah always know the outcome, what will happen when mortals and angels turn away and establish their own false doctrine. They will eventually become confronted with their own falsehood, and their heavenly and earthly kingdoms will be destroyed through rioting and anarchy by their own followers, And such is the downfall of all who choose not the Creator's ways, established by true God of heaven and earth. Verse 7. Thus was established the two false God, Budha and Brahma, and at once there was a war in heaven, as well as on earth. And this was virtually the end of schools and colleges in these heavens, and also the beginning of the breakup of the factories and places of industry in the two kingdoms, Eteshang and Haraktu, in Atmospheria. Verse 18. As to the earth regions, Vindia and China, this is how they stood in that day. Verse 19. China was so well established in the doctrines of China and Caillou, or Confucius, that the people shunned war and adultery. The saviors had gained but little footing, and now, when the gods sought to inspire the people to war in order to establish themselves, Brahma and Budha, only the most barbarous regions could be influenced. Verse 20. Brahma, the false god, now perceiving the potency of Confucius' books, sent his angel warriors to inspire the Sun King, Tsing, to have all the books in China destroyed in order to reduce the empire to ignorance. Accordingly, the Sun King, Tsing, issued a decree commanding all the books and tablets of China to be destroyed. Verse 21. Brahma said, I will have all or destroy all. My angel shall not let sleep in peace any king or governor in all this land until he engage in the work of thus destroying my enemy, learning. Verse 22. And there were destroyed in 1 year more than 5 million books and 1 million tablets of stone and copper, being the destruction of books of ancients for upward of 20,000 years. Besides these, there were destroyed many of the books of Confucius, but not all of them. So for some people who may say there is no record account of certain histories, here is verification how records and documents of thousands of years are reduced to ashes and destroyed by warfare. So this is just one out of thousands of wars where documents, records were destroyed, and for coming generations, these things were as if they never existed because of the level of destruction. Now, because of the destruction taking place, the FAITHSTS, the believers of the Creator of China, was commanded to build a wall, which became known as the Great Wall. Verse 23. In the meantime, the anti-war spirits of the people had cried out to the Creator, O Father, what shall we do to avert war and to preserve the revelations of thy holy ones of old? Verse 24. And Jehovah answered them, through God of paradise, Jehovah's Son, saying, build ye walls against the barbarians, and your wall shall stand as a testimony of what ye are willing to do rather than engage in war, even for self-preservation. Verse 25. Because ye have faith in me, I will be with you even unto the end. Verse 26. And it came to pass that the FAITHSTS of China built stone walls, the greatest building in the world, and they stand to this day. Verse 27. Jehovah said, behold the works of my chosen. As long as these walls stand, they shall be testimony of the struggle of my people, to maintain themselves by means of peace instead of war. And the wall shall be monuments to the FAITHSTS of this land, who have perished by the false gods, Brahma and Budha. Verse 28. Yeah, the testimony of these walls shall be stronger in time to come against Brahma and Budha, than though every stone were a sword and spear. And the followers of my son Confucius shall loathe them with pity and hate. Verse 29. In India also did the machination of Budha and Brahma work sore mischief on mortals. In this country, both of these false gods decreed the destruction of all the books and tablets, except such as looked favorable to their own doctrine. And there were here destroyed more than 2 million books and 1 million tablets of stone and copper. Verse 30. And the schools and colleges of the people were well near destroyed, the whole length and breadth of the land. Verse 31. And in both China and India were there slain in war in order to establish the names of these gods amongst mortal, more than 140 millions of people, men, women, and children. Verse 32. By the angel warriors of these two gods were mortals thus inspired in the work of destruction. Not only against the FAITHSTS were these gods, but against each other also. And mortals were their victims, for the glory and exaltation of the two heavenly kingdoms, Haraktu and Eteshang. So now you could see from both sides, both moral and angels, how they are influenced by false gods and false doctrine. And you could also see how thousands of years of records, of written documents on copper and stone can be destroyed and reduced to nothing as if they never existed. And with that, I'd like to say peace and blessings and catch you on the next documentary called Lu Among the False Trinity God Inspires Ezra to write the Bible of that day. Shalom.